You know, speed is one thing, but speed with control, that is completely different. And that is why Bradley Barcola is such an interesting player. Because when you watch him at PSG, the first thing you notice is obvious. He's quick, very, very quick. But the more you watch him, the more you realize this is not just a winger who knocks the ball past defenders and hopes for the best. There is technique there, there is balance there, and there is a player who, if he ever becomes fully consistent, could be one of the most dangerous wide forwards in Europe. That is probably why Arsenal have been linked. That is probably why Liverpool have been linked. And that is probably why PSG have a decision to make, because Barcola is talented. But at PSG, the competition is ridiculous. Ousmane Dembele, Ballon d'Or winner, Kvaratskhelia, Doué, Gonzalo Ramos. So the question is not really whether Barcola is good. I think he clearly is. The real question for me is, does he become a main man at PSG? Or does another top club look at him and think, yeah, we can build something around that kind of profile? So Bradley Barcola, 23 years of age, French international, right-footed. He came through at Lyon and broke into the first team there. And then he made the move, of course, to PSG back in 2023. Positionally, now this is where it gets interesting. He's mainly a left winger, but he can also play on the right-hand side. And he has had moments through the middle as well. This season in Ligue 1, he scored 11 goals. And for me, that's important because with Barcola, the threat is not theoretical anymore. He's not just a nice young winger with potential. He is actually producing numbers. Yes, I know you see 11 goals, but if you check the season before where he was playing consistency, he was playing a lot more games. He scored a load of goals. Now, the assist numbers in the league for this season, yeah, of course, it's quite low. And listen, we'll come back to that. But the overall profile is what makes him so exciting. He's quite tall for a winger. He's quick. He can run in behind. He can carry the ball. He can attack defenders 1v1. And when he gets into the box, he's starting to look more like a real goal threat. And that is where the big clubs start paying attention, because every top team wants wide players who can do three things: stretch the pitch, beat defenders, and score goals. I promise you, Barcola can do all three. So on to his style of play, because he's not just a touchline winger, as I mentioned before, and he's not just an inside forward either. He's a bit of both. He starts wide on the left, he holds the width, he stretches the fullback, and then once he receives the ball, he can go either way. If you show him outside, he has the speed to burn you. If you show him inside, he can carry into shooting areas, and that is the problem defenders have with him. You cannot just defend one thing, and that is why his heat map makes sense. Most of his work, of course, comes from that left-hand side, high and wide, then into the half space, then into the box. He's not just standing still waiting for touches. He's constantly trying to move into areas where he can hurt the opposition. And this is where, if you look at some of his numbers, they match what you see. He is strong for progressive carries, strong for successful dribbles, very strong for non-penalty goals, and very strong for non-penalty expected goals plus expected assists. So the data is basically telling us what the eye test already tells us. Barcola is not just a winger who looks dangerous. He is getting into dangerous areas, he is receiving in dangerous areas, and he is ending attacks. That matters, because lots of wingers are fun to watch until the final third. They beat one man, they beat two men, then nothing happens. With Barcola, the end product is there. The shot map is really encouraging. He's getting shots inside the box. He is arriving at the far post. He's attacking cutbacks. He is making those curved runs from the left channel into central scoring positions. And that is what separates him from just being a wide dribbler. He has the movement of someone who wants goals. That is why his 11 league goals, again, yes, it's quite small, but it's not really a fluke. He is putting himself in the right areas. And like I said before, you play him consistently, you'll see better version of Barcola. Transitions, broken defensive lines, 1v1 situations, space behind the fullback. That is when he looks frightening, because once he gets running, defenders are already in trouble. And unlike some fast wingers, he does not lose the ball every time he accelerates. He can keep it close, he can shift direction, he can glide past players, and that is why the phrase unmatched speed, perfect technique works, because his pace is obvious, but the technique at the speed is what makes him different. Now, when you look at it, why would Liverpool like that? Well, simple. Liverpool have always loved wide players who can attack space. Salah, Mane. And if you imagine Barcola in a more direct transition-heavy Premier League setup, you can see the appeal. He can run beyond, he can attack the box, he can give you that left-sided threat where the fullback is constantly worried about getting spun. And for Arsenal, it makes sense as well. They've needed more explosiveness and competition on that left-hand side. They've got Martinelli, Trossard, but Barcola gives you that. There are, of course, weaknesses, and this is where we have to, of course, be a little bit fair. He's not the complete player yet, and I do think he is relatively close to that. As I mentioned before, the assist numbers for last season, yeah, that could be a first question. For someone who gets into so many good wide areas, you would probably want potentially more consistent final ball output. Sometimes he beats the man and the next action is not quite clean. Sometimes the cross is delayed. Sometimes the pass is not weighted properly. Sometimes he can, of course, be too focused on the shot. And listen, at the highest level, you can't just beat defenders. They punish teams after they beat them. That is the next step for Barcola. The second question is consistency. There are games where he looks like a nightmare to play against. Then there are games where PSG's attack goes through others and he feels more on the outside of things. Part of that, of course, is PSG and the way they set up. There are so many stars, so many creators, so many players demanding the ball. But part of it is also Barcola needing to impose himself more. Because if you want to become one of the main wide forwards in Europe, you cannot just have moments. You have to affect games again and again and again. And that is probably where his future gets interesting. If PSG were to give him a bigger role, I reckon, of course, he'd stay and just keep on developing and he'd be one of the best wingers in the entire world. But if they sign another player in his position, or if he feels he is behind other players and even more players in the pecking order, then you can understand why he would want to leave. Because the tools are obvious. As I mentioned, speed, technique, height, ball carrying, movement, goal threat. And listen, guys, he's still only 23 years of age, so there's still room for another jump. So, listen, for me, when we're talking about Barcola, I've liked him since he was at Lyon. I think the profile makes sense for any top team. You know, he's not a perfect player. The consistency can improve, decision-making. But if you're looking for a winger with the pace, technical ability, goal threat, and the ability to attack both wide and central spaces, then Barcola is exactly the type of player you should be looking at. Obviously, for PSG, the decision is going to be difficult because you don't really want to lose a player like this, but if he's not going to be guaranteed a major role, then I can understand why he would probably want to leave. And maybe PSG could then look at other players to potentially fill in that position. But for me, top player, I think he's probably the best winger on the market at this current moment in time. I know there's conversations with Yan Diomande, and of course he's got the potential to be a lot better, but I think Bradley Barcola is exactly what people think Yan Diomande actually is at this moment in time. He is that player, and the worst thing about it is he can easily get better. But listen, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Would you take Bradley Barcola at your club if he were to leave PSG? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Stay blessed, keep the same energy, and I'll catch you guys real soon. Peace.